Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Jill Frank. She's a realtor at Coldwell Bankers Success. Thank you, Jill, for joining us. So I'm going to turn this over to you. What questions do you hear a lot from people?
Well, from buyers, the question I hear most often is, what can I afford to buy? And it's great that we live here in Madison because there are so many great lending resources here in the area that I can refer them to answer that question. From sellers, it's always, what is my home worth? Is this a good time to sell? And what are some improvements that I can make to my home to increase its value?
So what are some of the answers that you give to them on those?
Well, there are so many different resources now available at our fingertips with smartphones and all the information online. There are any number of applications that they can use at any time.
So what online tools are out there for people to use?
Well, again, there are so many different ones that are out there, and I always encourage my clients to experiment with different ones. It depends on the device, whether it's an iPhone or an Android that they have, or if they're using a computer. Some of the most common ones, Realtor.com and Redfin are two that are tied to the MLS, and so the information there's a little bit more real time in terms of what's active on the market or if it has an offer pending. The two most popular ones nationwide are Zillow and Trulia. Also, lenders are getting into the game of the tools, and so home scouting is one that some area lenders are using that have a little bit more of a lender focus in terms of answering that question, what can I afford to buy? But again, those are also tied to the MLS, so the information is very current.
So tips for people in trying to navigate all these online tools that are out there. I imagine you've used quite a few of them. Any tips and tricks for people?
Yep, and again, there's so many out there and they're changing all of the time. But again, back to the questions that I get asked, one of the questions is, what is my home worth? And so many of the different tools have some sort of tool to figure out what is my home worth. And it's important to realize that those are national averages when you go and do those estimates and all of those things, and to compare and contrast maybe 3 or 4 different applications, and then get your realtor involved and say, okay, these are these national averages, how can I apply that to my home, my street, my neighborhood? And then also realizing Zestimate right there on Zillow's website has an 8% mean error rate. So in a $300,000 home, that's a $24,000 error possibility. And again, that's where the realtor is important to get involved because they can help personalize that national average. For buyers, I love the little draw the search area tool that they have on a lot of the applications as well. It's kind of nice to be able to personalize it to maybe your place of work or a school or a park that you're trying to stay close to.
Those are good tips to use. It's definitely an online world that we live in today. Well, thanks so much for stopping by today, Jill. It was nice to have you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We have more coming up.